Welcome to Tapped In with Tony. I'm your host, Tony Bogan. Joining me tonight is Akron East basketball and football assistant coach, Seth Lewis. Seth, thank you for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Not a problem. It's been great seeing the growth of the Akron East football and basketball programs over the past few years. East has been a perennial contender in the Akron City Series, and they've been doing very well in basketball, district championship appearance last season. Football, they've made some deep runs, and they have a lot of talent in the halls.
Yes, we so with that basketball run, that 20-5 season, Coach Hazard did a heck of a job, and sad to see him go, but happy for his future opportunities. But yeah, no, East has been we've been growing, we've been getting numbers out every year, and Coach Hayes' idea of his base of changing lives, saving lives, being the go-to motto has definitely started attracting more guys coming to our program, and some of like the club. Um, Middle school team. Some of those guys are starting to come and everything. So it's been growing. Got a lot of talent. I mean, his resume speaks for itself. You know what I mean? I mean, if you want to come be a champion, then Britton Road is definitely the place to be. And we like develop champions on that nice little grass field we got. So
Nice. It's great to see that, especially in a very fertile, an area fertile with talent like Akron.
yes, littered with talent.
You've
The
got
whole
some.
city. The whole city. I mean, we've got. I like to think that Northeast Ohio is a top 5 area athletically in the country. I mean, the whole city, the whole area, the whole city of Akron, just littered with talent.
Absolutely. And starting with you, did you go to Akron East?
I did not. So I'm actually a 2015 graduate of Revere High School. Um, I My father lived in Goodyear Heights all my life, and mother lived in Bath, so went to Revere. But always just kind of hung around. You know what I mean? Just always liked going to my dad's house in the Heights, walking to Six Corners Deli all the time, getting some snacks. But the East opportunity came about at a Revere East basketball game. So a superstar. Sorry about that. Homie of mine's calling me. He was a superstar at Revere, obviously basketball player, and he said, I know your dad lives close by, so I know you want to coach at high school and stuff. Started East, they send dudes offers every year, so I started doing a little bit of research, and he said if I have 35 and we win, which he had 37 and they won, he's like, then you got to go talk to the head coach and the athletic director, and Coach Hayes was in the building, so talked to him, got an interview, and 4 years later, East has been the best decision of my life. Coaching
Awesome.
East has definitely been the best decision of my life.
And
So,
how was it playing at Revere? Did you see any similarities and differences?
Revere, it's an interesting place, especially in terms of the sports realm. It's a very academic institution, very academically driven school. Great top 10, top whatever every year. But sports they up and down, struggle with classes. You know what I mean? Like some classes are real good, they graduated, and then it's coverage of bear for a little bit. Then they got a couple classes working up through. So it was good. I mean, not a whole lot of success, but had a good time. Played. Was blessed with an opportunity to play in college at the collegiate level at Heidelberg, and then walked on and after my injury and tried to replay at Slippery Rock, and that didn't work out many practices, but shoulder injury stopped that. But now Revere was good. It was a good experience. Overall, pretty good experience. Dean Rayhouse obviously still there. A lot of love and respect for Dean. He's a great man, great program. So it was definitely nice getting him in the district semi this year. But he runs tight ship over there, so it's always good to see Dean and the success he's having with the basketball program over there.
I'm from a similar situation where you've got a school with high academic standards, like Shaker Heights was where I went
Yes.
to school. Shaker Heights had Terry Rozier. Revere had Pete Nance,
Mm-hmm.
who's on two-way with the Cavs, I believe.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll say so. Pete was a freshman when I was a senior, and then growing up when I was in middle school, Larry Jr. was at Revere, and he had DJ Bettinger, who was a Division II All-American, I believe, or won a national championship Division II level. But it was definitely there's some nice moments, some nice teams with those Nance brothers at Revere. I'll tell you that. I mean, that Larry Jr. team making it and playing Eds with Mike Brown's son, Shannon. Forget what his name was, but he was a very special player. Had some nice battles. I remember they had a battle with Benedictine and Cam Wright down at our place one time. The Barberton battles with the North brothers were always classic. So, I mean, those were those were some nice days of Revere basketball. I was always front row, like a little middle school kid, screaming my butt off, probably watching Larry dunk it, thinking it was the coolest thing in the world.
Oh yeah, I didn't really get into basketball until 2016, but I saw a lot of clips back in the day from guys like Steve Newton, the Third Coast Hoops. He'd be at seemingly all the games: East Side, West Side,
Yep.
North Side, South Side.
Yep.
Terry Rozier is someone I went to school with, and also Machine Gun Kelly, but I didn't go to school with both
That's
at the
sweet.
same
Yeah.
time.
I knew they were Shaker boys.
Yep, but
Scary
Terry,
Terry's dude can hoop.
oh
That
yeah,
dude can hoop.
absolutely. And you said that you played ball at Heidelberg, correct?
Yes, sir. Yep.
How?
So I actually have it's came full circle. I actually went on a visit for a player of mine that's still playing there, David Banks. He was a senior my first year at East, and he's currently a rotating / starter on that offensive line there. So I've been up on campus a couple times, and like presenting a player of mine to my old college coaching staff was kind of a cool moment for me and stuff. And it's nice to see him having success up there. But Heidelberg was a great experience, 2 years. Ended up having a shoulder reconstruction, which is after my sophomore year, which hindered me playing and finishing out and stuff like that. But actually, the guy, another full circle moment this football season will bring me is receivers coach, Coach Fox at Heidelberg at the time when I had the surgery and was going through a tough time in my life. He was actually the guy that told me, you have a future in coaching, this, that, and the third. So he actually is the Elyria head coach, was at Elyria Catholic, and we have Elyria week 3 this year. So I'll be very excited to share the field with him, and that'll definitely be a full circle. Hopefully I can hold back on the waterworks, but I texted him and even told him no promises, so these kids got me in my get me emotional sometimes in my old age. This 4 years being around these kids are getting me emotional sometimes.
Hey, it's definitely great that you have that connection with them. And
Yes.
what position did you play at Heidelberg before your injury cut your career short?
What was that?
What position did you play before your career was cut short?
So I'd come in as a receiver, bulked up, ended up making a lot of my money at tight end. Ended up risking me too. We had an All-American defensive lineman that I tried to block and had a shoulder surgery because of it. So ran right through me at practice one day, and then I tried to play, had a couple stingers, and then one game caught a pass, hit the ground on that shoulder, and I just kind of knew that it was probably about time that it was go get it checked out by a professional, and gave me the bad news. So.
Gotcha. And prior to your injury, how was your college experience at Heidelberg, being
Awesome.
able to play ball up there and get
Awesome.
played with some of the teams?
Loved every second of it. I mean, I still, to this day, keep very close touch with one of my buddies. He was a receiver with me from Cleveland Heights, James Crowder. He actually coaches at Warrensville Heights. I had a teammate from Shaker Heights I talk to all the time. He lives over here in Streetsboro. I live in the Falls area, so we'll try and link up sometimes. I FaceTime one of my brothers every day. He lived and plays out in Fremont, so talk to my guys out in Columbus. I mean, there's just guys all over the country that you're teammates with and that you still keep in touch with sometimes, and life gets in the way and stuff. But playing career, had a fun time. It's a different grind, waking up at that 5:15 in the morning, but it's one of those where I try and preach to our kids too at practice. It's football. It sucks. It's hard. It's not supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be easy. But the dude next to you is struggling right along with you. And in the fourth quarter, he's got to look at you and know that he can trust that you're going to get through these ab workouts because we might need you to block somebody in the fourth quarter. And it's just one of those, like, football is the ultimate brotherhood bond of a sport, and the locker room is such a melting pot of people and personalities, and it's just like there's just nothing like it. I mean, I've had Florida teammates that are beat to their own drum, but they're my guys. Still talk to them dudes, and got some dudes, Houston, Detroit, middle of Pennsylvania, middle of Ohio, Kentucky. Had a Cali kicker that I'm still close with. He was sweet. Just a lot of different relationships and bonds, and it was wouldn't trade it for the world, that's for sure. That's why I try and give every kid, let's get these grades right before the end of your junior year going into your senior year so we can, possibly have chances in the future. So, because I mean, if everybody can at least experience that type of environment, then I think we could definitely, societally look at things a lot different, just even based off of a sports locker room. A lot of different people coming together as one for one goal, and that's hopefully to win and get better. So
Absolutely, because in football, that's one of those sports where nothing to take away from the other sports, but you definitely have to be your brother's keeper.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes. If
It's
one
not.
dude misses their block, quarterback gets killed, receiver ran a perfect route wide open. Play don't happen because somebody on the backside was sleeping, being selfish. So that's why I think football is the best sport in the world, personally.
And going into your first year, how did the first year go at Akron East? Because did
So
you also coach basketball at the same time concurrently?
um so I was not. The basketball kind of came about just kind of helping out Coach Has. He'd had his trusted staff with him and just kind of needed like a little bench assistant. So I was just kind of his little bench mouth at the end of the last 2 years. He's that's my guy. He's like an uncle to me. But football focus was always me. But my first year was actually that COVID season. So obviously we were in the weight room for 3 weeks. I had met the team, was around them every lift, and then boom, nothing. And then obviously we had to protest, get our season back, all that kind of stuff. So then we finally get the season back, had 6 or 7 full scholarship Division I athletes / high level Division IIs all over, transfer out. So then we were a bunch of babies, freshmen, sophomores, trying to call Eric Holly off a whim to come be our quarterback that season because we had our quarterback had transferred and he was probably the best athlete in the school at the time, which, you know, um, but then obviously that debut was the game at the Elliott Stadium with us versus Akron Firestone, um, where that unfortunate shooting had happened. And uh, that was my debut. That was my first season. So I was just kind of like, this is there's some work to do here. You know what I mean? There's some personality disorders and some work we can do with trying to help these kids individually based off of what they individually have going on and trying to deep dive into different kids. You got to treat sometimes in different areas, you got to treat different kids differently. Some kids cope differently with other things and some kids learn different than others. And that's been my, I'd say saving grace because as somebody who wants to move on and coach in college at someday, going to have the same personalities. You know what I mean? There's going to be a kid that you can only you say it once, he gets the drill, and there's a kid you're gonna have to repeat because he just and there's attitudes and all that kind of stuff. So the first year at East, I was expecting some raw athletes and definitely had those. We had the likes of Sean Gates, Ratel McAllister, and just Tim Christian, Kumar studs everywhere. Boo Boo, just absolute studs. And then COVID hits, and then the young studs come in. The Dakota Taylor, who's now at Buchtel and has had a lot of success over there. Tristan Thomas, Eric Holly, Ronan Kelly, Monte Blair had his time to shine. And we had some nice reset in the program, made us young again, which those guys graduated last year, and these are my first 4-year seniors now. So these were the freshmen during COVID, and we've got some dudes, like Ibrahim Kamara, Diero Mitchell, Debo. We've got some. There's a couple that I'm missing from this senior class. Tone Rosser, Coach East, Keith Kendrick. We've got some dudes that really were thrusted into JV starters as freshmen. May not have been necessarily ready, but then sophomores are rotating varsity, and then keeps going on and on. And I think all those dudes currently hold a full scholarship offer, so they stayed the course. And that's one thing I've seen at East is if you stay the course and you trust Coach Hayes' process and trust the coaching and trust what we're doing with you, then you see it different in the kid. You see kids grow up and take responsibility for actions, for just everyday things they take responsibility for. And I've seen so much growth in some of these 4-year kids that it could never speak highly enough about the East program and how Coach Hayes runs it. It's second to none out there.
It's a great program, and you've got not only are you teaching these guys, guys are winning on the field, but off the field, they're doing what
Yes.
they're doing in the classroom and just making a difference in their community, basically putting the student part of student athlete.
Yes, sir. That's always, and we've got, Coach Gonzalez, Coach Klopp used to work in the school, our D coordinator. Coach Klopp still works in the school. And, we got guys that definitely just try and help them thrive in an environment that they're not schooled and comfortable with being in all the time, because just conditioned differently. And some kids just aren't conditioned to go through a school day and behave properly and communicate properly with teachers and authority, and so we try and definitely bridge that gap. And that's had a funny instance today. We were throwing the ball in the gym, got the ball stuck up in the net divider, and it was Armani Holloway's hilarious kid. And so the ball gets stuck. And so Coach Hayes has a key, to get this divider down, right? So I was like, all right, problem solve, Armani. You got the ball down. How are we going to get it down? So he's trying to get shoes off dudes, trying to get stuff to throw at this ball. And I was like sitting there laughing. He's trying to get this mat, throw it up there. It wasn't even close. Just absolutely miserable attempts. I'm sitting there laughing. I'm like, Armani, if you go up, tell Coach Hayes, hey, sorry, I was throwing, got the ball stuck. Can you lower it? He might understand. So in Armani fashion, he said, Coach Hayes, one of the ninth graders got the ball stuck up there, and I need to get it down. And so Coach Hayes laughed at him after he had owned up to it first and moved it 6 inches, and the ball came down. I was like, see, positive communication. Like, that's just – it was a funny incident, but Armani Holloway, he's, I will say, another kid on the radar to look out for. He's going to have a breakout season. He's a blow-up kind of guy. He can wreck a game at any snap. Defensive end, 6'5", lengthy, wiry, strong, good athlete, good head on his shoulders. So area scouts, anybody who, saying this can reach, pay attention to Armani Holloway for sure.
Got it. And going into the 2021 season, it's your second year coaching, your first normal year with a lot of these guys. And how exciting was it to be able to have that full season compared to like the worry about whether initially Akron wasn't going to have a season, then they reversed course and had one. They started late, then you had the stuff that went down the first week.
Right.
And then having to balance all of that with everything going on.
Right.
How'd you guys stay the course between 2020 and 21?
Staying the course for that season, carrying into that off season. The only way I can describe how we as a program stayed together is Marcus Hayes. Can't speak highly enough about that man as an individual, but heading into that 21 season, we star-studded roster, had some talent, every position. Tripped out of the gates, with sometimes how the playoffs work with points. We schedule. Coach Hayes is not ever afraid to schedule some guys. So we got Jackson week 1 with that environment, and I'll say walking into Jackson the first time, I still have chills thinking about it. Like, I'll never forget my first, because all the games were at Ellett, which is a great environment, great field, and love having that access. But hitting a stadium like Jackson, packed out, student section behind the end zone, warming up, full student section during pregame warmups, just hearing the banter, and it's just like, wow, it's cool having the whistle and being able to hear all of it, because as a player you don't hear much going on, but like when you got the whistle, you can hear some things, you can pay attention to some things, and the trash talk with the student sections, like sometimes the worse it was, the more hyped we got, the more hyped I got. You know what I mean? Like, bring that on. Like, we want that and welcome that. And then I'll say Dover, going down to Crater Stadium down in Dover, is different. That stadium with the grandstands, the 8-foot high brick around the whole facility, band in the one end zone, student section in the other. It's just chills with that one. We had some nice battles there. Maslin Perry has a nice environment. I give them their props. Great program, but it's the C word in my mind, Chardon. But C word, great program. They do their thing, but that environment is second to none in Northeast Ohio. I mean, the 8-row bleachers, it seems, but the whole 100 yards, the massive student section behind the end zone with the scoreboard and the woods behind them, dark back there, like it's walk from the high school gym all the way in. It is it's an experience, I mean, like I said, as somebody who wants to coach in college, like sometimes when I'm walking into those bigger stadiums, I'm envisioning something much bigger in my head, maybe a couple years down the road at whatever college. But like for the time being, it gives me the chills I need to keep waking up. It's definitely a grinder in football season. You're tired, attitudes, every high school coach deals with attitudes. Sorry about that. We had to communicate, but they weigh on you. It's tiring. It's a grind for everybody, but wouldn't trade it for a world. When game day comes around, it's just watching your boys make plays and get happy for each other. Watch them, handle an interception. You come off the field. It's all right, man. Make the play. Defense, get you a nice stop right back. Like, hey, we got your back. You know what I mean? Go do it again, offense. Like, it's your turn. If we sputter, they pick us up. If someone scores on us, then we got guys on the offensive side of the ball that get the ball in their hands and they can make one guy miss and it's fireworks, So that's something about the East program that we try and, harp on. Every program does too. Got to handle adversity in the game of football. It's every play. But, we face a lot of adversities, whether it's football related or not, so handling that in life, it's football is such a life game, and it's, if you use it properly and accept what it can do for you, then it can be absolutely life changing. That's where it goes back to saving lives, changing lives, so it's, like I said, this East program it's a special one, and Coach Hayes he's got it. This is going to be a special year for us. We're definitely looking forward to it.
I'm excited for you guys. And like I said, you guys have grown over quite a few years. And last year, you guys also made the playoffs in a very stacked Region 9. You guys faced Dover, Lake, North Royalton. Before we get into basketball, talk to me about the Buchtel East rivalry. Talk to me about that.
That is a special rivalry. So obviously Buchtel has tons and tons of tradition. East doesn't. We've got some, but our most of our tradition is since Coach Hayes took over the helm. But my first year during that COVID season, it got us pretty good. We were young, and Saturday they came out, played some real good ball. There was a incident I remember with Coach Wu, Wayne Stevenson, who's one of our guys. He graduated from East, and Coach Powers graduated from Buchtel, and there was a little exchange over a football on one of our sidelines. It was their ball after a punt, and it got on our sidelines, and it was an exchange, and that's kind of when I was like, okay, so it's okay,
Looks like
this. So this is the welcome to the rivalry type thing, and then honestly, coming off the bus at their place, I love that grass field they have, and I'm glad they were able to get some turf. For them, that's nice to have two fields, and they definitely are a school that has some tradition, so I can see why the city gave them, awarded them some turf. Love having all the turfs pop up in the city. I hope we can eventually get everybody. But year 2, Eric Holly's senior year, Justin's first year and stuff like that in our program, we went to their place, and we got the best of them that day. Zaire Stevens had a kind of a breakout run for him in his career that is going to be a pretty nice one. But getting off the bus, just hearing some of the, go Griffs and all that kind of stuff, and some of the banter back and forth. It was just like
the 1040 chance.
This is a cool one. This is a cool one, and getting them at their place was nice. And then obviously this year, game was supposed to be played on a Thursday. Some unfortunate events based off an unfortunate event on that day hindered us from playing. Ended up playing that Saturday. They got the best of us. They were a pretty good football team last year. You know what I'm saying? Both were very good teams. They made a nice little run in the Division 4 playoffs. Won some games, beat some pretty good teams. So always going to congratulate city teams for having lots of success, unless, it's against my East Dragons. But definitely looking forward to a matchup this year. I mean, they've got some good ball players, got some nice talent, great coaching staff, and some fine gentlemen coaching, leading that program over there too. So.
Gotcha. And you also are assistant coach for basketball.
Yes, sir.
How long have you done that? And talk about your first season.
Last 2 seasons. So I started Eric Holly's senior year. Just kind of had a job that allowed me to be free with my nights. And Coach Hazard approached me like week 9, maybe even playoff game, loading the bus up on a game day. He had just come by and was like, "Hey, man, after basketball season, or after football season, if you're interested, could always use a bench guy." I'm like, "Yeah, I have a very, very nice special relationship with Eric Holly and my receivers as a receivers coach. Tristan Thomas played basketball, Holly played basketball, Ronan played basketball, so just an opportunity to be around the guys, especially before Holly would leave, and see him do his first love, which I know was basketball. He had stopped playing football for basketball, but seeing that was basically the basis of the opportunity and saying yes. I love being East Dragon. I love being around 80 Brit. I love the people, the staff, the teachers, the kids. So just an opportunity to be around, and Coach Has, that's my guy. That's like family to me. So it was a no-brainer to come back for a year two, and year two was a special one, and some stars were born. And I think Darian Holly, Eric's little brother, if he's wherever he goes or whatever he goes to the next level, that kid is going to be a force to be reckoned with in the college basketball scene and the high school basketball scene for the rest of his career. He is a different um,
Agreed.
different kind of hooper than Eric,
Mm.
but just as good at what he does. He's a big combo guard, can shoot it, can score it. Cardi Tyler, just a pit bull of a
Yes.
point guard. So, Coach has that 20-5 season this year was a nice run, and it wasn't no easy in 25 either. I mean, we had to run through Jackson, that was a great win for us. I don't think the kids quite understood what that win meant for the program, but that was a great win for us. We beat Buchtel once on that ending where the fight happened, and we replayed on a Sunday, and we ended up getting them then. Obviously, an eventual state champion. Congratulations to the Buchtel Griffins. Lost to Hoban, had them on the ropes, lost them by 5 or 6. That's, congratulations to the Hoban Knights. That's a state champion as well. And we do play them week 4 this year in football on a Saturday night, September 9th. So hopefully the whole city can come out for that and have a nice little night. But, we beat a Strongsville team that was good, had a nice little point guard there. We had played McKinley last game of the year, lost to them, but that's Camp McKinley, still all-time winningest program in the state. So it was not the easiest of schedules, but one thing about Coach Hazard I'll say is in the best phrasing possible when it comes to the basketball stuff, like he does that. He is a very, very, very good basketball coach. And like I said, it's tough to see him leave the Heidelberg community, but he's back home at Barberton, and after an 0-23 season, I promise you things are going to change there. So Barberton basketball will be back here very soon. I can promise you that.
Gotcha. Absolutely. Hazard's a great coach, and I got to see the rise of East, seeing those guys play against Jackson. Yep. In postgame, they said it was the first time they ever beat them. And East had some really great teams. Right. It was the first time they'd ever beaten a program like Jackson.
That's a state power. And their coach went to Barberton with him and knows him pretty well. And that's like that was one of those nights where afterwards we were in the locker room, and the kids are all changed. And after we had like jumped around, sprayed the water bottles and stuff, and he kind of just looked at the coaching staff. He was like, he always wears that Nike jacket. He like kind of unzipped it, loosened it up a little bit, and was just like, took a step back. She looked at us, was like, we just beat Jackson. And I was like, man, we beat Jackson. That's a program they have great sports all across the board. They had that girl that went to Ohio State, won a state championship in baseball when I was a senior in high school. The football playoffs all the time, success in that tough region, Division I. So Jackson's Jackson. When you can get a Jackson, you gotta. And like I said, the kids didn't quite understand the magnitude at the time, I don't think. But I think as they keep going, when you can beat a team, one that's got 2 or 3 times the amount of boys to pick from that you do, the facility difference, the support difference, it's, like I said, monumental. That's why beating North Royalton this year, and we could have beat Jackson week 1. I think a couple plays didn't go our way. But this year when we beat North Royalton, they had beat us the year before. They had got on us Eric Holly's senior year. They had kind of put it on us, and coming back and just out physicaling and kind of dominating a team like that on the football side for me was my first big win outside of the city series and big win as a football program. And it was like, you can do that. Facilities don't always have to matter, and support and this, that, and the third. And when you do that in a urban school, it means that much. It just feels that much more special, because there's just, every school's got their obstacles, and there's different ones for different schools in different areas. And when you can beat a team like that, it's a beautiful thing. It's always a beautiful thing.
Oh yeah. And East went to the district final. I was there for that Hoban game. That place was jumping for the Hoban game. Had a state champion on the ropes. You beat your alma mater, Revere, in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. When your players put a 40 ball up on Strongsville, another great team. and you guys lost to the eventual Division II runner-ups, Lutheran West.
Mm-hmm.
That was a really great run that showed those kids
Yes.
had a lot of grit in them, and they played really well that year. It was great to watch.
And one thing I'll say is the kids as it ties in with you, the kids, I will say, like Cardi and Mike and LG and some of the guys you interviewed after the game loved every minute of it. Cardi loved the attention for sure. They those guys love that, and they love having you around. And when they see you at the games, they know, like, okay, this is a big game. But expanding on that Lutheran West team, because you had mentioned them, the team that beat us in the district championship. That's a special bunch. It's a good group. That point guard Jason Levis is it's a very, very, very smooth IQ player, scorer, killer. He's a good player. I've actually kept in touch with him a little bit via social media and stuff, and seems like a great kid, and definitely a fan of that kid moving forward. I mean, there was a moment in the game where against us, game was, there's 2 minutes left. They were up by like 16 or something. So, game's kind of wrapped up at the time. And him just thinking towards the ultimate goal, there was a breakdown in a press, and I think we got fouled. And the starting shooting guard, who's also a pretty good player, I forget what his name was, with all respect, Levis turned, looked at him, yelled at him, got on him, told him he missed the assignment. Up 16, 2 minutes left, game's over. You know what I mean? You're moving on to the next round. You just won a district title. Foot was on the gas. Yelled at this kid. They dapped each other up and walked away. And then it was corrected. And I was like, man, like that's the command a quarterback needs with this huddle. That's the command a point guard needs with this team. And that's what, as a coach, I was at the end of the bench and I was sitting next to Chris Mumford. And we both at the same time were like, we were watching it happen live, and we just both kind of tapped each other. We're like, did you see that? Like, he just got on that dude. Dude responded, said, okay, you're the captain, shook hands, and, move on. That's that positive communication. That was just something that I've been trying to instill in my guys, like I said with that story earlier. So it was like one of those, another full circle. Like that was a cool moment to see. So was glad to see them have as much success as they did, because that coach too over at Lutheran West, I forget his name, but
Jordan Duke
runs a good program. So definitely come across him a couple times, and had some conversations about playoffs and playoff moves. And he is a phenomenal man, a phenomenal coach. So nothing but love for that program up there.
Oh yeah, they've been on the rise, especially seeing some of the couple documentaries pop by one of the content creators, Chris the Creator, had some stuff about Lutheran West.
Really?
Yeah.
That's sweet. I did not know that. That's sweet.
Basketball creation is really awesome. Just getting to be behind the camera, watching kids from all kind of different schools.
Yes. Get that exposure out there, because I feel like social media does a pretty good job of highlighting your main places. There's those national social medias that'll go in and they'll do like maybe a tour of an Eds or a tour of but getting there for everywhere, seeing the different facilities and the different areas that these schools are in, and kind of their talent pool where they pick from and stuff is a good way to educate people on, who you're playing against, and, what some of the areas look like, and what some of the schools look like, and how they jive, and how the coaches are and the programs are feeling and stuff. And I think it's definitely a great thing what you're doing.
Great. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. Akron is a really very rich in talent area, being a lot of
at all the levels. I mean, you can go 15 minutes outside of Akron, and to me, CBCA, obviously we know who the star is there, Darren Peterson. We played against him. Eric Holly's my first year on the basketball team, Eric Holly's senior year, and he was a freshman. And obviously Holly is a, pretty set-bodied kid at that time, and was having the success he did on the basketball court with, his raw athleticism, and watching Darren just kind of step for step. I was like, put a couple moves on. I was like, wow. And I knew he was like top 10 in his class at the time. And now seeing him at like top 3 or 4 or whatever, and on the USA team and stuff. And he is a bona fide top 3 pick in the next 3 or 4 years, whenever he's eligible. I mean, I've told dudes, my friend from Fremont, I FaceTime all the time, every day. One teammate at Heidelberg, I tell him every day, I'm like, look, man, when we talk basketball, don't tell me nothing about this dude. Darren Peterson is that dude. One of the best players I've seen. He's smooth player. So, I mean, everywhere. Like, then that just goes to the testament of Northeast Ohio, because you've got schools up in Cleveland, the Richmond Heights, They had that center up there that's a underclassman, that like 7-foot kid that's unbelievable. Lutheran West got dudes. I mean, Lutheran East got dudes, all over. Football too, baseball, we've got stuff. Whatever you need in Ohio, we got it. Whatever sport you need, we got it up here.
Yep. Walsh Jesuit had a good year. Ellett had a
Yes.
pitcher who's going to Wright State.
Yes. Ellett has always had a pretty good baseball program. Always. Ellett and Firestone have always had. I've had battles with those two teams in the playoffs at Revere, and Firestone knocked us out one year, and I think we knocked them out one year. I mean, there's definitely. And when Firestone was there, if I remember correctly, they had I think an outfielder or two. One of them was on my club baseball team that ended up playing at Mercyhurst. They've always had some nice talent. So
they went to the district finals in 2019 before they lost to Brunswick.
That's right.
And they lost to they beat Ellett in the Akron City Series baseball title.
Look at that. I love seeing the city have success in baseball. I love that. Baseball is a sport that I wish would grow in the more urban communities. I think it's a sport where it's you fail 7 out of 10 times, you're in the Hall of Fame. So it's a game predicated on handling 100% adversity every pitch. So I think it's as a baseball lover, that was kind of my first love in the sporting world, and probably my best playing sport was baseball. I always preach to the guys sometimes catching punts. We weren't the best punt catching team last year. We bobbled a couple, and were some differences in games. But I always tell them, like, man, if you play baseball, catch punts is easy. You're just camp underneath the pop fly. You want to be a little bit behind it, make sure you can run up into it comfortably, and you're right in rhythm. Like, Coach, how does this apply to baseball? I'm like, trust me. Like Coach Clopton, our D coordinator, he was a very good baseball player, played at Tiffin University where he also played football at, and he said the same things. Like, man, y'all kids needed to play baseball younger. Like you'd be able to catch punts, no problem.
Oh yeah. And did you play baseball, Revere?
I did. Yes. So, I ended up starting sophomore on out in the infield. Was not necessarily a hitter. Didn't have a very good bat at all in the high school during my high school season. But the way I always looked at baseball was, so I played for a very good club organization called Premier Baseball Academy up in Brunswick, and so I was always just looked at high school ball as 25 scrimmages for club ball. I love traveling state to state and staying in hotels with teammates in Columbus, Cincinnati, South Carolina, Florida, all the states, all the places. So those were my fondest memories growing up, were probably club baseball, and my first real eye-opening experience of different kids in different areas. And now obviously once you play football in college and meet, and see that locker room, it's like, wow, there's definitely some different areas, different people for different areas. So it was cool. Baseball, yeah, that was always my best growing up. Always my best and always my favorite. So I've been trying to make it out to a couple East baseball games. I know that we got the program up and running, so been trying to make it out a couple times. A couple of the young guys play, so obviously they're done. So next year I'm gonna try and make it out to a couple more. But I definitely hope it's a sport that grows in the urban communities. It's a great release. It's a patience game. It's a chess, not checkers game. It's pitch by pitch. It's the scenarios change and everything changes. So kind of, down by down, it changes. It's a great thinking game.
I agree with you. And I've seen a little bit of it in Cleveland. They've got a couple of baseball teams.
Yes.
In the inner city roads. John Marshall plays the Senate title game up at Progressive Field. There just needs to be some sort of investment in those communities because there's some talent there. Just needs to be some sort of investment in there.
Yes.
That's how they can grow.
Yes. Teach some of these kids because I truly think hitting a baseball is the hardest thing to do in sports. I don't think it's the hardest sport to play, but I think that's the hardest skill to do. Can't tell me some of these athletes we have in, Northeast Ohio, between Akron, Canton, Youngstown, Akron. You can't tell me if they don't learn the technique of hitting, they can't pick up the rest of the game and be a freak of nature athlete on the baseball diamond. Like there's some dudes, and I know Justin Cox, our quarterback, that's obviously at Wayne State from last year. He's one of my favorite kids. He's a great young man. He played baseball, and he had played at Hoban before he came to East and stuff. But he was pretty good. Watching some of his film and some of his swings and stuff, it was nice to see somebody that had a prior knowledge of the game before he came. So, because obviously East didn't have very good year, but we're still building a program, building from the ground up. You know, it's not a very big sport over there, but seeing him and seeing some of the young guys, I know a couple of Levance Bratton's a sophomore football player for us, and he had a pretty nice baseball season and stuff. So Parker Wood, our photographer and social media director for our football program, he was one of the assistant coaches for the baseball team, and he eventually, possibly, hopefully, he can run it someday with whatever happens if we keep running it and continuing it. But he's a good baseball mind, and he would kind of tell me about it, and it was good to hear some of the stories about some of the football guys playing and some of the guys having fun playing ball. So I saw they got to play a game at Canal Park, and I think that's beautiful. I played a game there, and it's just fun being on a stage like that, whether you have 10 in the stands or 150 or 10,000. You know, it's just a cool environment to play.
Absolutely, and getting to witness it as somebody who covered the games, state title games 3 years in a row. Great place to play. Great place to watch a game in general.
Right, Canal Park is best. Canal Park is best. I'm shocked within myself. I have not made it to a game this year. That's always one of my dad and I's summer goals is to go to Canal Park, watch a game on Friday or Saturday. It's a cool place.
And my last question to you is before we wrap up, what are you guys looking forward to the most going into this season? You got the season being a couple months away. Basketball on the horizon after that.
This season is going into my fourth season. We're just excited where we're heading as a program. You know, this is one of the first times we could possibly have a freshman team on its own, which we haven't had in my years. It's always been, you know, a hodgepodge of freshmen, all freshmen basically, and some sophomores and stuff playing JV. But this year, you know, we can possibly have a three level program, which would be beautiful in the in the city for sure. But we got a lot of returning experience coming back. You know, so we might be young at the quarterback position, but young, great upside, very talented. But the stuff around him is experience. You know, we returned four offensive lineman starters. We've got a stable in the backfield you can give the ball to. We got about 3 or 4 different guys. We go 3 deep that are very, very talented. 4 deep. We can go 4 deep that's very talented. My position at receiver, always got East is always going to have some talented receivers. You know, I've got Ibrahim Kamara, who's a pretty highly recruited player in the area. He's looking good at receiver and stuff. So, you know, we're just excited to keep expanding on the program and keep getting better and just keep getting kids opportunities next level and keep getting kids on the field and showing them that, you know, there is a reward for staying on top of schoolwork and there is a reward for, you know, practicing good habits and doing the right things in the community. And that reward is the honor and the privilege of putting on an East Dragon uniform and, you know, playing on Friday nights. I mean, it's a tough, the whole world, it's a tough world out there, you know, but if you can find the little pleasures in life, it's always seeing the kids get all hyped up to put their uniforms on game day and seeing the struggles and some little arguments, some bickers and, you know, some pushing and shoving at practice because we're sick and tired of going against each other. Let's just get some live competition in here and just excited to strap them up and play. I mean, we got a nice schedule again this year. Open up with a very athletic, very good Youngstown Cheney team, and then we head right into Bedford, Elyria, Hoban, Youngstown East, and then city play. So hopefully we can keep stacking wins up and get out of that first round of the playoffs because, like you've brought up a couple times already, it all adds up to that week 11 in Division III, Region 9, which is a dogfight. I mean, the Chardon coach, great program and a heck of a coach up there, has always said, you know, the last 2 years, he's like, you know, we're scratching our heads like, oh, we got to do a Chardon again. Chardon scratching their heads like, oh, we got to deal with East again because, you know, one of these games we're going to play East and all that talent comes together and they put the final product together. And when that happens, if you play your ball, you know, you play your best ball at the right time of the season, you can get on the roll. And our athletes are second to none in the state. And I think some of them are second to none in the, you know, Midwest in the country. So hopefully I'm just hoping we can put it all together and, you know, play our best ball and make a run at it.
Coach Lewis, thank you for coming on the show. It was great getting a chance to talk to you and pick your brain about
Thank you.
Stuff at East.
Thank you for having me. I always appreciate you, you know, coming around and and talking to the guys. And like I said, they love it. And I'll always push and promote the stuff you're doing because I think you do great and you keep doing your thing. Keep doing your thing.